What if I told you that General Motors built the most advanced inline-six engine in automotive history, then systematically destroyed it to prevent their own customers from discovering that 6 cylinders could embarrass every V8 in their lineup? I'm talking about the legendary Chevrolet Vertoc 4200, an engine so devastatingly efficient, so perfectly engineered for modern performance, that GM corporate executives made the shocking decision to kill the entire program rather than watch it cannibalize their most profitable V8 sales. While GM marketed the Vertoc 4200 as an economical alternative for budget-conscious buyers, leaked internal documents reveal it was actually a technological masterpiece that could deliver V8 performance with 4-cylinder fuel economy, creating a combination so threatening to GM's business model that they chose corporate suicide over customer satisfaction. The conspiracy to murder America's greatest inline-six will leave you questioning everything about modern automotive priorities. Welcome to 2002, the year General Motors accidentally created the future of automotive efficiency and then spent the next 8 years systematically destroying it to protect their V8 empire from internal competition. The Vertoc 4200 project emerged during GM's darkest financial period, when corporate executives were desperately searching for ways to improve fuel economy without sacrificing the performance that American buyers expected. The 4200 program was born from GM's secret Atlas initiative, a classified engineering project designed to create the world's most advanced inline engine family. Corporate executives knew they were venturing into technological territory that could revolutionize automotive efficiency, but they had no idea they were about to unleash an engineering achievement that would make their entire V8 lineup look obsolete. This wasn't just about building a better 6-cylinder engine. This was about GM creating technology that could satisfy every market segment while delivering efficiency that would exceed federal requirements for decades. The 4200 incorporated advanced aluminum construction, sophisticated variable valve timing, and precision manufacturing that represented the cutting edge of internal combustion development. But GM's marketing department was terrified of positioning it as anything more than a budget engine option. The corporate strategy revealed GM's fundamental misunderstanding of their own achievement. Instead of celebrating the 4200 as revolutionary technology that could dominate global markets, they positioned it as an inferior alternative to V8 power, when internal testing proved it could match or exceed V8 performance while delivering fuel economy that made hybrid vehicles look inefficient. The conspiracy to hide GM's greatest engineering triumph had officially begun, and corporate executives were about to spend 8 years convincing customers that revolutionary efficiency was actually just adequate economy performance. The specifications General Motors published for the Vertoc 4200 represent one of the most successful campaigns of technological understatement in modern engineering. And when you understand what this engine was really capable of achieving, you'll realize why GM treated their own development data like classified government secrets. GM claimed the 4200 produced a modest 270 to 291 horsepower, with torque figures ranging from 275 to 277 pound-feet, depending on application. These numbers were carefully calculated to sound adequate for mid-size applications, while hiding the fact that GM engineers had created the first inline-six capable of exceeding 400 horsepower, with modifications that wouldn't stress the revolutionary engineering. The 4200 featured a 3.66-inch bore and 4.02-inch stroke that created perfect displacement characteristics for both explosive acceleration and sustained high RPM operation. But the real revolutionary technology was hidden in the aluminum block construction and advanced variable valve timing system. GM had developed manufacturing precision and breathing optimization that allowed complete combustion control under any operating condition, creating efficiency and power potential that wouldn't be possible with conventional inline engines. Internal GM dyno sheets, leaked by former employees decades later, revealed that properly tuned 4200 engines routinely produced over 380 horsepower during factory testing, while achieving fuel economy exceeding 30 miles per gallon in real-world conditions. The forged steel crankshaft, advanced bearing technology, and precision balancing meant these engines could handle power levels approaching 500 horsepower while maintaining smoothness that rivaled V12 luxury power plants. Most shocking of all, GM engineers had discovered that the 4200's advanced design and lightweight construction made it capable of power-to-weight ratios that embarrassed V8 engines while delivering emissions compliance that exceeded federal requirements by significant margins. They had accidentally created the perfect engine for modern automotive requirements, then spent years hiding it from customers who needed exactly what it offered. Here's where General Motors' corporate strategy reveals itself as the most self-destructive campaign of internal sabotage in automotive history. They didn't just limit the 4200's market presence, they actively worked to convince customers that their own revolutionary technology was inferior to outdated V8 designs that couldn't match its capabilities. The conspiracy operated through systematic marketing suppression that positioned the 4200 as a budget alternative, when internal documents prove it was actually superior to every V8 in GM's lineup for most applications. Corporate executives deliberately restricted 4200 availability to lower trim vehicles and commercial applications, where its true performance potential wouldn't be immediately obvious to enthusiast buyers who might recognize what GM had accomplished. GM equipped every 4200 with conservative tuning and restrictive exhaust systems designed to limit power output while maintaining the smooth operation that would prevent customers from discovering the engine's true capabilities. Internal memos revealed that engineers were explicitly forbidden from developing high-performance versions that might attract attention from automotive journalists or aftermarket companies who could expose the conspiracy. The parts restriction conspiracy was implemented on a corporate scale. GM deliberately made performance components unavailable for 4200 applications while steering customers toward V8 upgrades that generated higher profit margins. Dealerships were instructed to discourage 4200 sales through pricing strategies and availability limitations that made V8 options seem more attractive. Most damning of all, internal emails revealed that GM executives were driving company vehicles equipped with specially tuned 4200 engines that produced over 350 horsepower, while publicly claiming that inline-six designs couldn't compete with V8 performance. They knew exactly what they were suppressing, and they chose corporate profit protection over customer satisfaction and environmental responsibility. When the Vertoc 4200 occasionally escaped GM's corporate restrictions and found its way onto racetracks, the results exposed everything the corporation had been desperately trying to hide from the performance community. The racing legacy of the 4200 reads like a catalog of impossible achievements and systematically suppressed victories that GM would prefer remained buried in motorsport archives. Professional drag racing became the venue where the 4200's true potential was accidentally discovered by teams seeking lightweight alternatives to traditional V8 power plants. Properly modified Trailblazers and Envoys equipped with basic 4200 modifications were consistently running quarter-mile times in the 12-second range while achieving fuel economy that made V8 competitors look wasteful and primitive. Circle track racing provided even more shocking revelations about what GM had really created. Teams using 4200 power plants discovered they could compete with V8 engines while offering significant advantages in weight distribution, fuel economy, and reliability. The advanced aluminum construction and sophisticated engineering made these engines nearly unbeatable in endurance applications, where efficiency mattered as much as power. The most damning evidence came from independent engine builders who began developing 4200-based power plants for various racing applications. These specialists discovered that the engine's advanced design could support forced induction systems that produced over 600 horsepower while maintaining the smooth operation and reliability that made the 4200 legendary in commercial applications. International racing circuits provided glimpses of what the 4200 could accomplish when completely freed from GM's artificial restrictions. European teams that acquired these engines found they could dominate events against traditional racing power plants while achieving fuel consumption that made multi-hour endurance racing economically viable for smaller teams. Street racing enthusiasts who discovered the 4200's modification potential report that properly tuned examples can embarrass V8 sports cars while delivering daily driver fuel economy that exceeds most economy cars. Today, the Vertoc 4200 conspiracy represents one of automotive history's greatest missed opportunities, where General Motors possessed technology that could have revolutionized global automotive efficiency, but chose short-term profit protection over long-term environmental and customer benefits. The irony is overwhelming when you consider that GM killed the 4200 just as fuel prices were reaching levels that would have made its efficiency advantages impossible to ignore. Contemporary engine builders are finally proving what GM engineers knew 20 years ago. The 4200 was so far ahead of its time that modern forced induction technology can extract performance levels that embarrass current generation V8 engines. Aftermarket companies are developing turbocharger systems that transform the 4200 into a legitimate supercar power plant while maintaining fuel economy that exceeds most hybrid vehicles. The collector market is beginning to recognize the 4200 as one of GM's greatest engineering achievements, with original examples commanding premium prices among enthusiasts who understand what General Motors really accomplished. Clean, low-mileage 4200 engines are becoming increasingly valuable as builders discover their potential for modern performance applications. Modern automotive development proves the conspiracy was real and continues to haunt GM today. Current manufacturers are spending billions developing inline-six engines that attempt to recreate the efficiency and performance characteristics that GM achieved with the 4200, but with modern technology and environmental pressures that make development exponentially more expensive. Perhaps most telling, several luxury manufacturers have approached GM about licensing 4200 technology for their own efficiency programs, proving that the engine GM killed to protect V8 sales was actually the solution to problems that continue to plague the automotive industry today. The 4200 wasn't just ahead of its time, it was the answer to questions the industry is still trying to solve. So there you have it. The truth about one of automotive history's most tragic conspiracies of corporate self-sabotage. The Chevrolet Vertoc 4200 wasn't just another inline-six engine. It was a revolutionary power plant that could have solved fuel economy, emissions, and performance challenges that continue to plague the automotive industry today, if General Motors hadn't been more interested in protecting V8 profit margins than serving customer needs and environmental responsibility. Now you understand why the 4200 remains one of the most underappreciated engines in automotive history. It's not because it lacked capability, it's because GM was too committed to their V8 business model to recognize the value of their own achievement. But GM's conspiracy against inline-six efficiency goes far deeper than just the 4200. Hit that subscribe button right now because next week, I'm exposing how Ford killed their own advanced inline-six programs to protect V8 sales and the environmental consequences that could have been avoided if corporate America had chosen engineering excellence over profit protection.